Hey guys, Aaron Brewer here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Quick introduction before we get started. If you haven't already, check out some of my videos all about finance and getting started for the beginner investor. So check those out. I'll put the prompts up above. Today, we're going to get stuck into a little bit more about investing. We've talked a little bit more about how to structure a portfolio, what different terminology means, and even showing you what I have in my portfolio or how I invest. Now we get stuck into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty and why you should actually invest. So asking the age-old question, why should I invest in the markets, especially the stock market? So there's this common theme among people when they think about it is that I don't need to. And maybe people think it's a little bit too hard. But some of the stats that really got my mind around it and sort of wanting to start with investing is just how insignificant amount of money you need to put towards it to start making some big changes in the future. So one of the things I've got here, investing just $10 per day, which is $70 a week, $280 a month into an exchange traded fund, something simple that just mirrors the S&P 500, which is the top 500 companies in the world, averaging around about sort of 10% increase per year. In 40 years from just that $10 a day investment, you'd have approximately $1,691,860 in the bank saved up or in your investment portfolio. Now that's a huge amount of money to have for someone who's going to be approximately, hopefully sort of 65, 70 years old. And it's going to give you a lot of freedom as well. And that's one of the best things that I've found that's enticed me into the market is just the freedom and the possibilities of being able to either retire comfortably, which is the biggest thing that we're going to get into a little bit later on, and also to be able to perhaps retire even earlier than maybe you thought you would. So some of the stats that I pulled up just upon retirement, one of probably the biggest things that most Australians maybe look into later in life or feel they need to look into later in life is how they're actually going to retire and how they're going to live the rest of their life when they don't maybe have an income anymore. And so an average Australian, this is from Canstar, and I'll link all this stuff in the description below. An average Australian saves around about $10,248 per year. On an individual level, Canstar's report found that Australians have a median of around about $15,000 in savings and investments. So that's not a lot of savings and investments. And that's sort of your average Australian, probably anywhere between sort of 30 to 40 years of age. Baby boomers have the highest median savings of around about $30,000 according to Canstar's research, while Gen Z, which would probably be myself, somewhere between a Gen Z and a millennial, have around about $10,000 saved and invested per person. These figures exclude any assets and superannuation. So not a lot of free cash on hand for most people. Most of what's kept in the bank is just in a savings account. So not actually going towards sort of any retirement structure or anything like that. Now, what we would consider sort of a comfortable retirement based on the research that I've found, a lifestyle which affords you a good car, top tier private health insurance, regular dining out, domestic and some international travel, and many of the toppings enjoyed during a working life. Now, a modest retirement would be better than the age pension, but still only being able to afford fairly basic activities, no budget for home improvements, can do repairs, but can't replace a kitchen or a bathroom. So most people tend to get themselves into sort of that modest retirement sort of age just with the amount of money they might have on end. A person wishing to have a comfortable retirement would need at age 65 a nest egg of around about $545,000 or $640,000 for a couple. The income needed to be generated from these amounts would be approximately $43,000 and $61,000 per year. So in that case, to be able to have a pretty comfortable retirement, you need to have around $545,000 for an individual and $640,000 for a couple. Now, when we talk about investing, especially when we're looking at the future, there's two different types of scenarios that most people get confused. There's investing and then there's speculation. Investing is different from speculation because speculation is often considered as targeting very high returns from investments within sort of a shorter period of time. And it's normally wrapped up in those sort of stocks that you might read on forums or on the news and stuff like that. When we're talking about investing, we're talking about a long time horizon and with pretty sort of modest average returns at best, just over a really long time frame. We're talking 30, 40, 50 years. But there's 5 key things that we're going to focus on that are the big things that got me into investing and also what might potentially get you into investing as well. So why would you choose to invest in the stock market? The first one, the higher investment return. So investing funds in an asset involves a trade-off as the investor foregoes the utility of having those funds at present for some hopefully higher returns in the future. Investing in stocks can lead to returns through two ways. This can happen through dividends, which is where you own a stock and a company pays you dividends for owning the stock, which you share in a piece of their profit. And the other one can be capital gains, so that stock being worth more over time. The second one is just having a retirement plan. So the majority of people invest for retirement purposes. Most people rely on their salary income for meeting their needs, and that can be quite difficult to sustain especially to sustain a lifestyle after retirement when you no longer have an income source. The third way, tax efficiency. So investing also helps save tax, as there are accounts, especially in the US, that are more likely set up for investments. But in Australia, we probably don't have that much stuff set up for investing that's taxable. But the government is going to, or as the government reduces their responsibility towards funding citizens' retirements, they will likely create types of accounts so that citizens can contribute and fund their own retirement without the need for, let's say, the pension or anything like that. The fourth one is to beat inflation. So investing is also important to beat inflation. If you don't invest your money and leave it in a checking or savings account, the money will decline in its purchasing power as inflation will eat away the value. So approximately 2% per year inflation, which means your money is going to be worth less and less as time goes on, or it's going to get you less buying power. This one is to reach your financial goals. So investing is one of the key ways in achieving financial goals for yourself. As an individual grows throughout life, their financial requirements become newer. It often starts with a house. Even if one funds a house through the loan, there is a requirement of a substantial down payment. By investing and using a mix of assets, an individual can build up the amount of money required for down payment. Another way that you might get involved in investing, or another outcome you might want, is to give your kids an education. So there's pretty steep college tuitions and education fees for children nowadays, and a parent can start investing early on in the idea to give their kids or their child enough money to sort of work with to get a really good education. Hopefully this has gotten you guys a little bit more interested in maybe making that first step into your first investment, and hopefully there's a lot of videos out there that can help to guide you down the process of how you make your first investment as well. So check out some of those videos on my channel, but thanks again today for tuning in, guys, and hopefully this has given you the spur to take that first step. And if you want to check out any of the videos on my channel, a lot of it can help to guide you along that path as well. So appreciate it, guys. Bye.